What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with my favorite Nintendo studio, and that is Monolith Soft, and how they are announcing that they have a large expansion as work continues on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. I want to talk about this because this was an article on Nintendo Life, but we do have some more information from a supposed insider on the matter that talks more about this. But first, I want to go over what the article is about with Monolith Soft and the expansion. Then we'll get into what this insider has to say, or this person with more information on the matter, because a lot of people had mixed reactions to this news. So Monolith Soft has been pretty busy over the past few years, not only leading development of the latest Xenoblade titles, but also offering co-development support for the likes of Animal Crossing New Horizons, Splatoon 2, and the upcoming sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, we're yet to hear on the release date for Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever it ends up being called, Nintendo Life writes, but Monolith isn't being shy about bolstering its ranks to get the work done. Now, as VGC has reported, the company has announced a large expansion of staff at the Kyoto studio, with almost 40 job listings currently being open on its website. Now, 6 of these are new roles, while the majority of listings don't specify any particular games or projects. Several make reference to the Legend of Zelda series. Now, you'd imagine that this means more staff are jumping on board to work on the upcoming Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel, or a project that is large in scale in the future. Now, originally announced during E3 2019, the sequel has been in the works since the development phase of the original's game's DLC. Previously, series creator Mr. Anuma has revealed that the game was born thanks to the development team having too many DLC ideas. Now, I do want to talk about this because this has led some people to say, oh, well, that means The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 isn't coming out anytime soon, since they're still adding people, even though that's not necessarily the case. Companies always add people in terms of working on games that could be in the final stretch. They add people down that. They add people to potentially work on stuff afterwards. They add people all the time. So that doesn't say one thing or another, but I do want to get into what this person that I've been following a bit on Twitter that has gotten some things right in the past when it comes to what's going to be announced just across the board. Samus Hunter had this to say: this large expansion, well, they quote tweeted what Nintendo Life had to say first, then said, this large expansion is not associated with the development team behind the sequel of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, whose hires have been continuous since 2019 and even earlier. But since they have a dedicated studio, the Kyoto team is behind other EPD games like Splatoon 3 and more. So it's kind of just shifting on to say, well, there's some other things that's going on. Now, one thing that you have to know about Monolith Soft is that they have multiple different studios. They are fully integrated as a first-party Nintendo developer. They are not third-party. They are not second-party. They are not some type of outside studio. They are a first-party Nintendo studio. So they do help out on various different games across the board. They really do. And they're adding people to always work on different types of things, whether it be like a Splatoon 3 or whether it be some other type of Nintendo first-party game, maybe even Animal Crossing DLC. I mean, who knows? Like, there's all sorts of stuff that Monolith Soft is working on with their multiple studios spread across Japan. So this doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, well, all this is for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, and it's all going to be just for this one thing going forward. But here's what I do know when it comes to Monolith Soft and what we could expect at E3. I do fully expect E3 or this year for there to be a reveal of their new IP or their next game, whether that's a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I also think that there will be a reveal of a Xenoblade Chronicles X port. I think those two things are happening. Having the whole series of Xenoblade playable on the Nintendo Switch, I think, is a priority for Nintendo. I think it's something that they want to do. So I see them talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 or a brand new IP at this year's E3 or sometime this year. I also see them revealing a Xenoblade Chronicles X port, so you can play Xenoblade Chronicles, the original with the definitive edition. You can play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torn of the Golden Country, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and also Xenoblade Chronicles X, all on the Nintendo Switch, the definitive system for Xenoblade, because Xenoblade's been for 3 generations now, right, since the Wii. So I do think that they're going to do that as well, and we could see that new IP that they've been working on for quite some time, or if it's a reboot of the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise, as in like a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, or they're just completely redoing the logic and what they do, so it almost feels like a new IP at times, like a Tales of Arise type of situation. So I think that's what we're going to see at E3, and they're loading up not only to help and support Nintendo with their games as a first-party developer, but also to bolster their own forces when it comes to what they're working on as well, because they've been working on this new IP for a while. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a while ago, and that wasn't even the full force of the main team. That was about like 40 or 50 people or so. So they've been working on something for quite some time, and I would expect to see it sometime this year. I don't know if it's going to launch this year, but maybe it gets announced this year in terms of what they're working on, and a Xenoblade Chronicles X comes out this year, maybe sometime in the fall or so. So what do you guys think about this? I think this is very fascinating. I'm a huge fan of Monolith Soft, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they have for us, because it has been a while, man. I want something new when it comes to Monolith Soft. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here. We've got some Amazon sales charts. We're discussing what is going down in the land of video game sales, and we also have some new sales when it comes to the Famitsu as well, which we'll get into. We're gonna first start off with the Amazon bestsellers, because there is a big game, or actually two big games, launching today on the Nintendo Switch and also the PlayStation 5, and that is new Pokemon Snap for the Nintendo Switch and Returnal for the PlayStation 5. Now, if you go on the Amazon sales charts, some people have been questioning how well these two games are going to do. Well, based off of what we're seeing here, guys, it looks like it's going to be pretty good, because new Pokemon Snap is #1 on the hot new releases chart, and it's also #1 on the best sellers chart. Now, they have two different things here. They chart what games are just selling best overall when it comes to all the different video game products. Then they also chart what games are selling best that have been coming out newly or just coming out as well. And new Pokemon Snap is the #1 game on both of those charts, which is great to see, because the game looks like a ton of fun. Now, we recently got reviews for new Pokemon Snap, and it's averaging an 8 out of 10. So a lot of people are enjoying their playtime. The reviewers seem to be liking the game, and it's not anything like super crazy, right? It's not like a 90 or 100 or anything like that, but it's still a very good game that's relaxing and very fun to play on the Nintendo Switch, and just makes sense for the system, especially after all of these decades. Bringing back this type of spin-off title on the Nintendo Switch is good. So it's cool to see new Pokemon Snap return as well. And also, if you look down just a little bit here at #4, the digital code for new Pokemon Snap is also in the top 10, or actually top 4 when it comes to sales. So very hot start for new Pokemon Snap on the Nintendo Switch. Now, let's also talk about another game here, or some other games as well, and that is Returnal on the PlayStation 5. This game has a lot of people questioning, okay, is it worth the 70? Am I going to pick it up or not? Well, the reviews did drop for this game as well, and it has a nice 86 average on Metacritic as well. Now, of course, this is not the be-all, end-all when it comes to review scores. It just gives you an idea of what people are feeling about the game. At the end of the day, you need to be the judge, whether we talk about the 80 for new Pokemon Snap or the 86 for Returnal, or whatever the case is. You need to look at the footage of the game, and you need to decide for yourself what you think and if you want to play it or not. Now, I've already kind of decided that I wanted to get the game when it comes down to Returnal. There are some frustrating things that I've read about it in the reviews, same with new Pokemon Snap and stuff like that too. But at the same time, these games both feel like they're going to be great experiences to play, and just be something to be excited about and play on your PlayStation 5 and your Nintendo Switch that are new. But Returnal is #2 at that spot, so that's very good. Now, we also recently had a state of play that featured a lot of gameplay on Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart, and I'll be honest, man, it was a lot of stuff that I was kind of looking away, because I'm already sold on the game, and it seems like they're spoiling some of this stuff for me. I know there's a lot of content, and I know that there's like a lot of stuff that they didn't show us, but it seemed like a little bit too much to me, so I ended up looking away a lot of it. But I think that it did the trick when it came to gamers out there, because Ratchet and Clank: Rift Apart actually shot up multiple places, up to #3 on hot new releases. So people were out there pre-ordering it after that state of play. Now, it's still a little bit lower on the best sellers charts just because, but I think it will shoot up as we get closer to that June release date. So very good to see there. And of course, the Eternal, Monster Hunter Rise in the top 5. Nier Replicant recently just came out the previous week. That's doing well too. So it's just good to see a nice mix of PlayStation and Nintendo Switch games in the top 10. Heck, even games like Miitopia Miitopia are getting into the action after people are seeing all those stupid looking Miis that they're making. Like, people are making all sorts of meme Miis on there. The Mii creator in there is absolutely insane. So even stuff like Miitopia is in the top 10, Blasphemous, The Village. Just good to see games that people are enjoying, stuff coming out so gamers can be excited about various different games across the platforms here. And one game too, Mass Effect Legendary Edition on the PlayStation 4. That is number 11. I'm very excited for that game next month. I think that's going to be a blast. We have some RPG gems coming out next month with Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster and Mass Effect Legendary Edition. People bringing back the classics, so I'm very happy about that as well. So what are your thoughts on the sales here when it comes to new Pokemon Snap, also Returnal as well? I'd love to hear them in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, guys, we've got some Famitsu sales for April 19th, 2021 through April 25th, 2021. We've got the debut of one of my franchises that I like quite a bit, and that is Nier, and that debuted at number 1 on the charts. Plus, we also have the Nintendo Switch continuing what I said it was going to do from Monster Hunter Rising on, continuing that strong 100K plus per a week average, which is just insane to see for this system. So Nier Replicant did launch at number 1 on the PlayStation 4, 108,838 units. On the Nintendo Switch system side of things, 105,833 units, while the PlayStation 5 sold 20,157 units. Now, if you look across the top 30 sales, because we actually have a little bit of the top 30 here, it's pretty much dominated by Nintendo Switch games, but there are a number of different PlayStation 4 games that were able to enter into the top 30 this week. We got something like Judgment on the PlayStation 5, which was number 11, and then also Judgment, the new price version too that just came out. So that's pretty good to see Judgment in there as well. And then you also have the Atelier series. That trilogy did come out. It actually made the top 10 on the Nintendo Switch, then was later in the top 30 for the PlayStation 4, number 19 on that one. But overall, the Nintendo Switch is still kind of dominating with at least 25 spots here on this top 30 list. And the Nintendo Switch system itself, 105,000 units plus, just absolutely dominating Japan when it comes down to it. But it's good to see some new games kind of get into the mix, get some more PlayStation games in there as well, and see Nier have a nice start in Japan. Very strong start for this style of game. I don't think this game is going to be as high selling as Nier Automata, but I still feel that the Nier fans are going to come out and support Nier Replicant version 1.22. So very good on Square Enix's part. I love to see them bring back some of these classics and enhance them and give us new value with these games. And it's good to see that 108,000 plus, not including digital, because you have to remember these sales, guys, are physical only for these sales. But I'm very happy to see the Nintendo Switch continue to do that well. And it's like I said with Monster Hunter Rise, and that game sold another 86,000 plus. This game is going to carry the Nintendo Switch for the next couple years. I don't see the Switch really dipping below as long as they're stock. I don't see it dipping below the 100K or 100K area, and it's only going to rise when new games come out that can help kind of feed the install base. So new Pokemon Snap, that should provide a boost for next week, or any other games that Nintendo is planning on bringing out. That's going to help provide the boost past that 100K plus or so. So that's only going to be good news for Nintendo going forward. And it's good to see a PlayStation 5 game in the mix as well at number 11, because we don't really see that too much on these charts. So very good to see that too. So what are your thoughts on the sales numbers here across the board when it comes to the Famitsu sales? Also, what do you think about Monolith Soft? What's going on there? E3, you think that there's something going on with the game? Also with Pokemon Snap and Returnal, the Amazon sales? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you for the next one. Peace.